this sentence, and they have like, okay, so if you were at 2, your distance from 0 would be 2 units. If you were at -2, your distance from 0 is 2 units. And you might have seen this idea of an absolute value before. Have you seen this symbol in math before where they do 2 straight lines? Some yes? Okay. And probably you learned as a shortcut in the past that what's the absolute value of -5? You probably learned it just makes whatever numbers in positive. So if you had the absolute value of 3, which is already positive, it's just equal to 3. If you have the absolute value of -5, it's equal to 5. But really, what those absolute value bars mean is what is the distance that -5 is away from 0? -5 is 5 units away from 0. Of course, in your brain, it takes too long to say that, so we develop shortcuts, right? Just like make it positive, boom. But we really want to understand, where did this symbol come from? It's a distance symbol. How far is something away from 0? So -2 is 2 units away from 0, and 2 is 2 units away from 0, and that's really what the absolute value means. Although most of us, after working with it, just say, oh, it's quicker to just say, just make it positive, because that's mathematically what you do. But the idea behind it is, how far is it away from 0? Okay? Some other things to highlight. Remember your number families. And then the symbols for your number families. So, natural numbers, those are like your counting numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, ... Whole numbers adds the 0. ... Integers, you put ... on both sides because they include positive and negative whole numbers. So it goes in both directions forever. And then your rational numbers are any number that can be written as a fraction. So any fraction. But this also includes say, I'll write it this way, terminating decimals. So if you have a decimal that ends, like 0.123, and it ends there, you can write that as a fraction. And if you wanted to write it as a fraction, you just have to say, well, where did it end? It did not end at my tenths. It did not end at my hundredths. It ended at my thousandths. So I can write this as 123 thousandths as a fraction, making it a rational number. This is also true for repeating decimals. So if I had 0.23 repeated, does anybody remember or know how to change a repeating decimal to a fraction? 0.23 repeated is...
Oh wait, isn't it like over 9 or something?
Close. 23 over 99. So however many numbers there are is how many 9s you would need on the bottom. Check it out. I'll go to my calculator and I'll try, what would be a fun number to look at? 542 divided by 999. According to this, it should just repeat. 542, 542, 542, and it does. So pretty. So if you want 3 decimals repeating, you'd have it over 999. If you have, you have 6 decimals repeating like that, you would have 1.42857 over 9999999. And then sometimes those fractions can reduce. As for example, that's perfectly 1/7. And that's a repeating decimal. So anything that's a repeating decimal, you can write it as a fraction. Which gets us to, and I'll change color here, anything that cannot be written as a fraction, that is an irrational number. And you've been introduced to some of these already. Like pi is an irrational number that goes on forever and never repeats. This unit will be dealing a lot with square roots. So square root of 2, square root of 5. Those are not fractions. And they continue on forever and never repeat. It talks about this symbol. Maybe I'll highlight this as well. Showing membership. It looks like an E. Sometimes we read this as element of, sometimes, probably more often. A belongs to the real numbers. A is an element of the real numbers. So it says that that means that it belongs to it, it has membership there. And so we use that a lot in domain and range in grade 10. We're going to use it again for describing domain and range in grade 11. Okay, and with that, we are ready to go to example 1. This is not a hard question at all. Okay, if you know the shortcut, right? Absolute values make numbers positive, right? And 4.2 would be 4.2. Really? What is that asking? How far away is 4.2 away from 0? It's 4.2 units away. How far away is minus 6.1 away from 0? It's 6.1 units away. This is just 3/4. This is just 1/2. So if we wanted to order these from least to greatest, we would start with this one, would be the one that's the least, because it's actually equal to 1/2. Then you would have this one. Oh, that looks bad. And after that would be 4.2. And finally, negative 6.1 is the biggest. Sort of have to make your absolute value lines a little bit longer so your brain doesn't confuse them with ones. And then if you had a number line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not going to do all of them, but would you be okay to put the absolute value of negative 3/4 right there? 4.2 would be like, where could I put 4.2? I think I'd put it there. And you could do the other ones as well. But we are a little short of time today because announcements went a little bit later. So I'll get you to circle questions 3, 4,